So, what do you think about aliens? You have any personal experience at seeing aliens, being abducted by aliens? It's according to one NBC poll, up to 6% of Americans claim to have been abducted by aliens, not just seen aliens, or seen UFOs, but actually abducted by aliens. So, but it's an NBC poll, so take it with a grain of salt. But it's no question that the conversation around UFOs and aliens is becoming more mainstream. Just this summer, Congress was having hearings on unidentified flying objects and what is our government hiding? Are these things in the sky, or is that hidden American technology, Chinese technology, or is it real visits of people from other planets? So what do we as Christians have to say? Is this, if you show up at Thanksgiving dinner, at a Christmas party, and people there are talking about UFOs, and they look at you as the token Christian at the dinner or the party, and they say, well, what do you have to say about all this? Do you just shrug your shoulders and wonder even how that might fit into a Christian worldview? Well, yeah, in my own view, I think the things that we're hearing about these conversations about aliens and UFOs, for me, what's striking is how similar it is to one story, particularly back in the Bible. And as I'm thinking of Genesis chapter 6, let me just read those verses. It says, when man began to multiply on the face of the land and daughters were born to them, the sons of God saw that the daughters of man were attractive, and they took as their wives any they chose. Then the Lord said, my spirit shall not abide in man forever, for he is flesh. His days shall be 120 years. The Nephilim were on the earth in those days, and also afterwards, when the sons of God came in to the daughters of man, and they bore children to them. These were the mighty men of old, and they were the men of renown. Jesus says that in the days before the coming of the Son of Man will be like the days of Noah, as it was in the days of Noah. So will it be in the days of the coming of the Son of Man. So what were the days leading up to the flood? What were the days leading up to the days of Noah? We get these strange verses at the beginning of chapter 6. And even though nowadays there's some debate over what all was happening, and there's some arguments about the line of Seth and the line of Cain, throughout history, Jewish and Christian history, the view has been predominant that it implies exactly what he says, that there were these angelic beings, these elder race, if you will, these other creatures, watchers, they're called in Daniel 4 and other parts of Jewish literature, these watchers who are supposed to be guarding the earth, who left their station and came and began to hybrid somehow with human beings. Now that sounds crazy, that sounds insane, and yet that was the view throughout most of Jewish history, as described in the book of Enoch, as well as the early Christian church, who took the book of Enoch very seriously as a reliable history book. In fact, the Ethiopian Coptic Church includes the book of Enoch as part of their canon. It's actually in their Bible. What is the book of Enoch? Have you ever come across it? Well, the first two sections of the book of Enoch, it's broken up into 5 sections. The first 2 sections, which are the oldest parts of the book, are quoted in the New Testament. You know where Jesus says, blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth? What was he quote? He gets that was in the book of Enoch first. What about Peter when he refers to these in 2 Peter chapter 2, where he refers to angelic beings who are kept in gloomy chains? He's quoting from the book of Enoch. What about Jude, where he actually talks about, he's referring specifically to Genesis chapter 6. He says, God who, judges these angels who did not keep their station, but rather came down, and God judged them and kept them in chains. He's quoting from the book of Enoch. He actually says, he puts it in parentheses, actually, as Enoch said, the Lord will come with 10,000s of his thousands. The book of Enoch, at least the first 2 sections anyway, are quoted and referred to by New Testament authors. It's treated it shouldn't be canon. It should not be part of the Bible. I'm thoroughly Protestant. I'm very happy with our 66 books. But the book of Enoch was referred to as a reliable history book, at least the first 2 sections were, in how they interpreted and how they understood the days of Noah to be, that they were actually creatures, somehow an elder race that was created before human beings, that somehow this elder, you can call them, there's angels, demons, watchers, seraphim, Nephilim, the Bible uses different language to refer to different non-human created creatures that are out there in the universe, but somehow they came down, and the exchange seemed to be, at least according to the book of Enoch, and sometimes implied, though not stated so directly in the New Testament and other writings, is that these creatures, they wanted to take over. They were evil creatures, and the deal was, you let us marry your daughters, and in return, we will give you technology. We will give you the ability to create great civilizations. And, these were where the great megaliths came from, and the Sphinx and the pyramids. And, how did they, mankind get these, 20-ton, 40-ton, great blocks to create these, huge things that we couldn't even create today with our technology. Apparently, they were exchanging being able to mate with human daughters for technology. Again, that's not my view necessarily. That's just what the book of Enoch seems to say, and is implied by some writings in the New Testament. Now, you can make of that what you will. You can believe the book of Enoch is reliable and accurate in its historical depictions, or not. Or maybe you could have some other interpretation to these references in the New Testament. That's fine. What I'm saying is interesting is the fact that so many of these sightings, and the people talking about UFOs, and the people who, these people claim to have been abducted, it's what their story is. And you can look this up. This was on NBC News, CBS News. Oxford was talking about a professor at Oxford who studies these things. Apparently, by the way, the term is ufologist, UFO ufologist. The people who really study these things. So many of the stories, hundreds of them now, not thousands, of the people who claim to have had these encounters with extraterrestrial, they're saying similar things. That from the men, they're wanting sperm. From the women, they're wanting to impregnate them. There seems to be this occurrence that when they have these encounters with UFOs, there's kind of a not just a sexual nature, but a mating nature to want to actually reproduce. That's weird. That's crazy. And there's this hint of technology being involved. There's this one thing I was reading from no less than a professor at Oxford University saying they think the aliens are coming to give us technology in order to avoid a climate catastrophe, that this climate change, we don't have the power to avoid it on our own, but the aliens will give us the technology we need to be able to save ourselves from this climate catastrophe we have created for ourselves. And these themes of getting technology and avoiding a climate catastrophe and mating with humans, so much of that is caught up with the themes of the flood, mentioned and referred to or implied by the book of Genesis, and some New Testament references gone into much deeper with the book of Enoch. I find the similarities between the days of Noah, as described there in Genesis and in the book of Enoch, along with the way people are talking about UFOs and encounters with aliens nowadays, the themes of a climate catastrophe and the flood and climate change, mating with these creatures coming down from above, exchanging for technology. So many similar themes that I think Christians do indeed have something, a way to engage these conversations. That when you're at the Christmas party, that when you're at Thanksgiving, and they look at you, all these agnostics who aren't sure what they believe, if they believe in God or not, but they certainly believe in aliens. Yes, I think we have something intelligent to come and say to them. And to say that these creatures, they don't intend for good. We're not interested in, human alien hybrids or anything like this. What we are interested in is the incarnation. We are interested in the one who came, who was fully God and who was fully man. No half weird hybrid demon babies sort of things, whether you believe in that or not, but apparently they do. But let's talk about the real God man who entered history, not to trick us, not to betray us, not to say, hey, we'll mate with your daughters, and then, we mate with your daughters, we give you technology, only to have these giants, these Nephilim born, who end up taking over the earth and declaring war on humans. It was a trickery. They made these deals with the Nephilim, but the babies weren't. They were these Nephilim, and these giants who ended up attacking and destroying and eating humans, and the world was filled with war because of this decision to mate with these hybrids. The world was filled with violence, and this is why God sent the flood. To wipe it all out. Anyway, that's crazy. We can make of that whatever we will, but there are, going back throughout the history before Christ and well into the early church, this belief and discussion of Nephilim, of watchers, of the sort of mating of creatures from above coming down to earth in exchange for technology. So it's there, explore it, and yes, I think we as Christians have something intelligent to say to the increasing UFO alien dialogue that's out there.